Please subscribe to this channel and support us so we can post new sci-fi stories every day. Your support keeps us going. The crimson glow of plasma fire painted the orbital defense station's viewports as the alien armada pressed closer to Earth. Captain Martinez watched another human cruiser dissolve into molten debris, its screams echoing through the comm channels before cutting to static. In the chaos of the command center, officers shouted coordinates and casualty reports, while holographic displays flickered with the positions of 1,000 enemy vessels. But, in the corner, almost invisible among the frantic activity, stood a figure in standard infantry gearcom, observing, untouched by the panic that gripped everyone else. The soldiers around her whispered about the mysterious woman who never seemed rattled, never complained, never spoke unless spoken to. She had appeared 3 months ago with transfer orders that checked out, but no one could recall her previous assignment. During the brutal siege of Colony 7, she had volunteered for every suicide mission. When Sergeant Kim's squad was pinned down by alien hunters in the crystalline canyons, she had appeared through the smoke like a ghost, flanking the enemy with precision that bordered on supernatural. She never took credit, never sought recognition, simply faded back into the ranks as if nothing had happened. The troops began calling her Ghost, not just for her stealth, but for how she seemed to exist in the spaces between official records. Now, as Earth's last stronghold trembled under alien bombardment, that same mysterious soldier stood motionless while chaos erupted around her, her dark eyes reflecting the tactical displays with an intensity that suggested she was seeing something others missed. General Hawkins stepped onto the command platform, his weathered face grim as he surveyed the holographic battlefield. The alien siege fleet had broken through the outer defensive rings, and their bioships writhed like living nightmares against the starfield. Listen up. His voice cut through the din. Intelligence estimates we have 48 hours before they breach the planetary shields. We're looking at a full-scale invasion with no reinforcements coming. Officers exchanged worried glances, the weight of extinction settling over the room like a shroud. Then, from the back of the crowd, a quiet voice interrupted. General, with respect, that assessment is incomplete. Every head turned toward the speaker, the mysterious soldier, stepping forward with measured confidence. The room fell silent, shock rippling through the assembled officers. No enlisted personnel, no matter how decorated, interrupted a general during a strategic briefing. General Hawkins' eyes narrowed, his jaw tightening as he studied the woman who dared challenge his analysis. The tension in the room was palpable. Officers held their breath, waiting for the inevitable disciplinary action. But something in her steady gaze gave him pause. She stood at attention, but there was an authority in her posture that seemed to fill the space around her. You're suggesting I don't understand the tactical situation, soldier? His voice carried the weight of 40 years in command, but she didn't flinch. Instead, she stepped closer to the holographic display, her finger tracing patterns in the light. The alien formation suggests they're not preparing for invasion. They're hurting us. This entire siege is a feint designed to concentrate our remaining forces in one location. The general's expression shifted from anger to curiosity as she continued. Permission to speak, ... or command. The words hung in the air like a challenge, and suddenly every person in the room understood they were witnessing something unprecedented. The silence stretched until it became unbearable. Officers exchanged bewildered looks while General Hawkins stared at the woman before him, his military instincts warring with protocol. State your rank and identification, he commanded, but his voice lacked its earlier edge. Without breaking eye contact, she raised her left wrist, activating what appeared to be standard issue gear. But as the device hummed to life, encrypted patterns began flowing across its surface, classified symbols that made several intelligence officers step back in recognition. The holographic display cast ethereal light across her features as she spoke again. Commander Alexandra Kane, Strategic Operations Division. Alpha Prime classification. The room erupted in whispers. Alpha Prime clearance existed only in rumors. Reserved for operations, so classified that most generals didn't even know they existed. General Hawkins felt the blood drain from his face as he realized the woman who had been serving meals in the mess hall outranked every person in the room, possibly in the entire theater of operations. Prove it, the general demanded, though his voice had lost much of its authority. Commander Kane moved to the central holographic display, her fingers dancing across controls that required biometric verification to access. The system responded instantly, confirming her identity with codes that made the computer systems chime in acknowledgement. 3 months ago, the alien fleet at Proxima Centauri wasn't destroyed by solar flares, As reported, I personally led the infiltration team that sabotaged their breeding ships from within. The Vega colony wasn't evacuated due to plague. We relocated 12 million civilians, because I'd identified it as the aliens' primary staging ground 6 weeks before they arrived. With each revelation, her voice grew stronger, more commanding. The defense of Terra Nova wasn't a miraculous last stand. It was a carefully orchestrated trap that eliminated their command structure and bought us the time to prepare for this moment. The assembled officers stared in stunned silence as she continued. I've been embedded in infantry units across the galaxy, gathering intelligence, coordinating resistance, and preparing for this decisive battle, while command believed I was just another grunt with a rifle. The War Council erupted into chaos as implications sank in. This is madness, Major Stevens shouted. You're asking us to trust someone who's been lying about her identity for months. Other officers voiced similar concerns, their trust shattered by the revelation. But General Hawkins raised his hand for silence, his analytical mind working through the possibilities. If what you're saying is true, then show us what's your assessment of our current situation. Commander Kane's expression hardened as she manipulated the holographic display, revealing fleet positions that weren't supposed to exist on their sensors. The alien armada isn't trying to invade Earth. They're trying to escape from something else, something they fear more than us. Our sensor readings have been compromised for weeks, showing us phantom vessels while their real fleet repositions for a desperate retreat through the Sol system. The display shifted, revealing the true scope of the alien presence, not the overwhelming force they'd believed, but a fleeing remnant of a much larger armada. If we strike now, at these coordinates, we can collapse their formation and trap them between our forces and whatever they're running from. General Hawkins studied the tactical projection, his experienced eye recognizing the brilliance of the strategy, even as his pride wrestled with accepting orders from someone he'd thought was a common soldier. The plan was audacious, requiring split-second timing and the coordination of assets he wasn't even sure they possessed. Even if you're right, the risk is enormous. If this fails, we lose everything. Commander Kane nodded grimly. If we don't act, we lose everything anyway. The aliens have been feeding us false intelligence through captured communication arrays, making us believe we're facing annihilation when we're actually in a position to deliver it. She gestured to the display, highlighting weak points in the alien formation that became obvious once viewed from the correct perspective. The room fell quiet as the assembled officers realized the magnitude of the deception and the opportunity it presented. General Hawkins looked around at his staff, seeing doubt and hope warring in their expressions. Finally, he turned back to Commander Kane. What do you need? The human fleet launched from concealed positions throughout the solar system, emerging from behind asteroids and planetary shadows like predators stalking wounded prey. Commander Kane stood on the bridge beside General Hawkins, her true authority finally acknowledged as orders flowed through encrypted channels to forces that had been waiting months for this moment. The aliens, caught completely off guard by the sudden appearance of ships they'd believed destroyed, scrambled to respond. But their formation was wrong for defense, configured instead for a rapid exodus from the system. As the first wave of human vessels struck, alien dreadnoughts collided with orbital mines that had been positioned with surgical precision, creating a cascade of explosions that rippled through their ranks. On the tactical display, the alien fleet's orderly retreat dissolved into chaos as vessels found themselves trapped between advancing human forces and the mysterious threat they'd been fleeing. Commander Kane's voice cut through the battle chatter with cold authority. Execute Harbinger Protocol. Across the system, hidden weapon platforms activated, their targeting systems painting alien ships with lethal precision. The alien commander's final transmission crackled through the communication array, a mixture of rage and grudging respect coloring his alien syntax. Humans, we underestimated your deception capabilities, but this victory is temporary. Our kind will remember this treachery. Commander Kane stepped forward to respond, her voice carrying across all frequencies. This wasn't treachery. This was war. And you forgot the first rule of fighting humans. We adapt. The alien fleet, what remained of it, limped toward the edge of the system as human forces maintained careful pursuit. But rather than press their advantage, Commander Kane ordered a strategic withdrawal, allowing the surviving alien vessels to escape. General Hawkins looked at her questioningly, but she merely smiled. Let them go. They'll carry word of what happened here to their kind. Sometimes the greatest victory is not in destroying your enemy, but in teaching them to fear you. As rescue operations began throughout the system, human forces discovered the scope of the deception that had been perpetrated against them. Entire colonies thought lost were found intact. Their populations relocated to hidden facilities where they'd been working to prepare Earth's defenses under Commander Kane's coordination. In the aftermath, as reports flooded in of the stunning victory, General Hawkins found himself standing with Commander Kane on the observation deck, watching repair crews work on damaged vessels. The weight of recent revelations hung between them like a bridge neither was sure how to cross. "Why hide?" he asked finally. "You could have taken command from the beginning, coordinated everything from the top." She was quiet for a long moment, her gaze fixed on the stars beyond the viewport. "Because command isn't about rank, General. It's about trust. And trust is earned, not assigned." She turned to face him, her expression thoughtful. "Those soldiers who followed me on dangerous missions didn't do it because of my rank. They did it because I'd proven myself beside them, bled with them, shared their fears. When the moment came to reveal who I was, they already knew what I was capable of." General Hawkins nodded slowly, understanding dawning in his weathered features. Around them, the command crew went about their duties, but there was a different energy. Now not just relief at survival, but pride in what they'd accomplished together. "Besides," Commander Kane added with a slight smile, "the best victories are the ones your enemy never sees coming." The galaxy-wide transmission went out 12 hours later, carried by automated beacons to every inhabited system in known space. The message was simple, delivered in Commander Kane's calm, measured voice. "To any who would consider humanity as prey, we are not the species you think we are. We do not simply endure. We adapt, we overcome. And we remember." Across dozens of worlds, alien civilizations received the transmission, along with tactical data from the Sol System battle, showing how comprehensively their superior forces had been outmaneuvered. The footage showed human vessels emerging from impossible concealment, alien dreadnoughts trapped by weapons their sensors had never detected, and the methodical destruction of a fleet that had conquered half the galaxy. Intelligence agencies throughout alien space began frantically reassessing their understanding of human capabilities, while military leaders demanded explanations for how their primitive opponents had achieved such a decisive victory. On distant worlds, the whispered word spread like wildfire. Humanity was not what it seemed, and underestimating them was a mistake no species could afford to make twice. Years later, military academies across human space would study the Battle of Sol as a masterwork of strategic deception and tactical execution. But Commander Kane's legacy wasn't found in the textbooks or official histories. It lived in the quiet moments when officers remembered that true leadership wasn't about the insignia on your collar or the orders you could give. It was about the trust you earned, the example you set, and the willingness to stand in the shadows until the moment your light was needed most. As ships bearing her name launched to explore the far reaches of the galaxy, their crews carried forward the lesson she'd taught. That humanity's greatest strength wasn't its technology or firepower, but its ability to be more than anyone expected. In the depths of space, where aliens once saw easy targets, they now saw the unknown, and, in that uncertainty, humanity found its greatest protection. The war was won, not with overwhelming force, but with the understanding that sometimes the most powerful weapon is being underestimated by those who would destroy you. The stars themselves seemed to shine brighter in the aftermath, as if the universe had taken notice of what transpired in the Sol System. And somewhere among those distant lights, Commander Kane continued her work, a ghost moving through the galaxy, ensuring that humanity would never again face extinction alone. Her message echoed through the void, carried by cosmic winds to civilizations yet unknown. They thought she was a soldier, but she was humanity's secret weapon, the quiet strength that emerges when everything seems lost, the steady hand that guides others through the darkness, and the unwavering belief that even in the face of impossible odds, humanity endures. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe to this channel and support us so we can post new videos every day. Your support means the world.